Hey, welcome to Ye Spurs TV. As you can tell, I am super happy. Why? We're in the final of the Europa League. Oh gosh, what a night! And we're gonna go over all of that, the road to Bilbao, how we got there, and then of course we need one more game, just one more game with Mitchuma to go over what happened at Bodo Glimt and looking ahead to the final in Bilbao on the 21st, Wednesday evening. 8 o'clock kickoff. Who are you going to be there? Would love to hear from you. Chuma, take it away.
Spurs are on their way to Bilbao.
Beautiful.
Welcome to Ye Spurs TV, the Afrobeat section of the Lily White Nation, the Europa League finalists 2024-25 season. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. You've joined us on our way to our first trophy. Please subscribe, like the video, comment, tell us what you think about the road to Bilbao, the ups, the downs, the in-betweens. Share this video, click on the notification bell. Every time we drop new content, you will be notified. And as always, it's come on ye Spurs.
Come on ye Spurs. Now, come on ye Spurs indeed. Come on. What a night. Listen, I just want to sort of share this moment with everybody who's part of this channel and who's watching this for the first time. Honestly, I'm not sure I've been happier with Spurs in a very, very long time. Honestly, it was absolutely fantastic night for me. I'm watching it alone, and I just even though I was really happy, I contained myself, I contained my excitement, but joy was deep. And I'll tell you why. Because this season we've been through all sorts of horrible stuff. A lot of negative stuff in the media. Fans going against each other, becomes civil war. It's like, come on. We're a team. We want to get ahead. We want to do stuff. We want to win stuff. And we're getting the chance to win stuff. People are still going down negative routes for many. Listen, enjoy the moment as a Spurs fan. Just have fun. We're in the final. We haven't been in a very long time. Now, this is European final. Let's do it again. Let's go back out there. This time around, go and bring that cup back home. Come on, you Spurs.
I think I quote the late great Brian Clough, who said, and I think this is the mantra I think a lot of fans live on. The league is where it's at. Europe is just a holiday. So I think a lot of people have built. I think they've built the foundations of how they support their teams based on that principle.
Yeah.
That the league shows who you really are. The cups are just, but my goodness, you have to think of the wave of emotion, from being happy, fearful, anxious, scared, then jubilant, all in one night,
Yeah.
And it's after the game, in hindsight, people go, well, you're playing Bodo Glimt in Norway. They're minnows, they're this, they're that, but no one gave us a chance of going there. Like, I literally saw people, and this is what it is being on Twitter or X. I saw people right there, Bodo Glimt, goodbye, Ange. This is your last game in charge. These are some Spurs, some not Spurs fans saying, we'll get there and get crucified. They're going to score 3 goals and knock Spurs out, and this is going to be the end of Ange, what an idealist, crazy, da-da-da. And I saw all these things. And even the press as well, the media, you could see certain people suggesting that it's not a done deal for Spurs. It was a done deal for Manchester United in the other semi-finals. Congratulations to Manchester United as well, beating Athletic Bilbao. The first leg was where they did the work. Second leg, most of the Bilbao danger men were injured. So it wasn't much a second leg, but they still did what they needed to do. So I give lots of congratulations and props to Manchester United. But the way Spurs were dismissed, the narrative was all about Bodo knocking us out. Spurs going for a shock.
Some of the headlines were just atrocious. It's like you hear anything like what to expect in Arctic Circle Bodo Glimt. I'm thinking
plastic pitch. How are we training on it? Are we training on a plastic pitch? They actually asked Ange that question, and Ange like, we've got a plastic pitch and everything, but I'm not training them on that. Like, we're just going to train and get there and play. It's football at the end of the day. It's played on the ground. we're going there. We have a plan, and we execute our plan. And I give them such credit, the players, the coaching staff, because I mean that would have been a potential banana skin. Bodo Glimt came out willing to try and score as quickly as they could. I felt they fashioned some half chances, but they never had like a real clear
Opportunity
cut
all
shot.
nice, you know.
And Spurs' back four, which, like you said in the green room just before we started, Spurs' back four have never really had a consistent run this season. And that back four is Pedro Porro at right back, Destiny Udogie at left back, Christian Romero centre back, Mickey van der Ven centre back. We haven't had those four together, I think, like you said, more than 15, 16 games. And then even if we did, never had them like in a row, all those games consecutively. And it was so wonderful to see them, and you could see how good they were. You could see them complementing, like Romero and Van de Ven complement each other so much. Romero, physical, imposing, brings the ball out very well. Van de Ven, quick to try and stop an attack as soon as they try and play it over the line.
Yep.
Udogie, like I said, I think part of the problem Destiny Udogie had this season was that injury and the surgery he had. He didn't have much of a preseason or rehabilitation before coming back, but you can slowly see him getting back his feels as the season is ending. He has actually played 7, 8 out of 10 in virtually every other game he's featured in leading up to this. So you can see him coming back. Pedro Porro has always been what he is. Puts in brilliant balls. He's working on his defending because that's the biggest criticism of his. But my goodness, the way that man passes the ball, the way he does that little, pitching wedge backspin. It's been a joy to watch. It's been brilliant for us as Spurs fans to watch this Europa League run. It's taken our minds off the league form, which was disastrous for many reasons. You could say injuries, you can say Ange doesn't adapt. Ange isn't pragmatic, but there's been an absence of players. Like it or not, it's happened. The best laid plans, don't always come to fruition, and it didn't for him. And but no, it's been that game was one for Spurs fans. 0-0. I saw someone saying that he has never celebrated a 0-0 at halftime the way he did when Spurs went in 0-0 at halftime. But that was the case. And then as soon as that first goal went in, Soji, you felt it as well. As soon as it went in, that was it for us. It was like, yes, job done. Second goal, icing on the cake. But that first goal by Dominic Solanke, where he just reacted to that, header backwards by Romero, that was it. Game. And, I called it game there. I just called it there and then. I was like, yes, sigh of relief. Let's get to it now. Prepare for a final. We have 2 weeks to prepare for a final. Let's get to it. You still there? Yeah, well, anyway, it was brilliant, though. It's been brilliant.
Is,
It's
I
really,
mean,
really brilliant.
because a lot of people had totally written us off. They said to us, "Oh, wait, there's no chance. We can't win. We can't." It's like everything to do with Tottenham was always negative, and all that. Bodo Glimt, everyone was telling us about Bodo Glimt's record at home. About how they won 32 of the 37 games up to then. And they hadn't lost in Europe in God knows how long. And honestly, I just love the way we. I was saying to one of the guys on one of our forums, right? I love the way that we press them so high up the pitch, right? They find it so hard to get out of their half, because you had Richie pressing on one hand, you had Sri Lanka pressing on the other hand, and you had Johnson, and then you had everybody was up to their game, and Bissouma, Bentancur just came up with their A game on the day, and it was a joy to behold, a real joy. I'm pleased is an understatement.
One of their players said, it would be impossible for Spurs to press them and this, that, and the third. And when that first goal went in, apparently Christian Romero went over to him and told him, "You talk too much. Keep quiet." And that to me was the highlight. Like Christian Romero had seen the comment online that the guy made. He said, "You talk too much, bro. You talk too much." You know,
Like I can't remember,
he's done what he's done.
was it Kulusevski that said, "Look, all the talking will be done on the pitch, not not in the press." I think was this
Yeah.
Kulusevski or Paul Rob? No, I don't know.
I think it was Kulusevski. And you know, you have to give to a man, you have to give everyone credit. Like you said, you know, people underestimate. I love Richarlison, and you know, if the rumors are correct that he's leaving at the end of the season, Everton are trying to buy him back. He's top of their wanted list. If it's true, you know, I'll take my hat off to him. A lot of people will not recognize what he is or what he's done, but I think we missed a trick with his injuries and loads of issues surrounding him mentally as well. His mental health, you know, we missed a trick with him. But you've never seen a more committed person. I've never seen anyone celebrate anyone else's goals the way he does. You know, his happiness at the other players thriving and doing well, and the sheer nuisance he is to centre backs and fullbacks when he's pressing. He's just an irritant and forces them to into little unforced errors. So Richie for me, yeah, I love Richie, but I have to give also a lot. We shout out everyone, but when Matistel came on, I thought Matistel was really good. It was his corner kick as well that resulted in that first goal. Matistel did well. I think he links up very well with Destiny Udogie. I thought he was really, really good. When he came on, Brennan Johnson, I think Brennan Johnson is the player you play when you're playing top opposition that don't sit off. I'm beginning to observe that when we play like the cities and the rest that press us toe to toe, man to man, he's that guy. But when they sit back and he has to make a move, he doesn't know what to do, or he opts for being conservative. So he didn't. His fullback was there to be taken, but he didn't take him. And then in the second half, he was the one taking off. And then Kulusevski came right. Kulusevski didn't have much joy centrally, but when he came out right, I think it was better for him as well in that game. So there are lots of things. I think there are lots of. I think Ange and his coaching staff and his analyst, they studied Bodo very, very well. And the Bodo manager alluded to as much, saying that Ange and the rest of them did their work on his team. You could tell they really analyzed, they knew what they were doing, and he adapted his team to the opposition.
Well, I
What
thought
we're talking about.
never looked like he never studied the other team. He just plays his own way.
And then you can tell that because we're the first team in 2025 that Bodo Glimt has not scored against at all. Like, we're the first team they have not scored. They've, you know, I remember I put it up on the group and someone said, no, home, they've not. No, I said, no, every match, even the games they've lost, they've always scored. This is the first time they've had a shutout all season. Well, all 2025, and we're in May. That's 5 months. Literally almost 5 months or 4 months plus. So, and this is Spurs that are Spursy, that are open defensively naive, Ange ball, high line. We got a clean sheet against these guys who are on their plastic pitch, which people try to minimize the difficulty of playing on those pitches. But my goodness, those pitches are not normal. The bounce was different. There was an area on the pitch that was kind of folded up. It looked like it was like a creased trouser. There was one end, and you kept saying to yourself, I hope players don't trip on this thing, you know? But it's, yeah, you know, I give credit to Bodo Glimt. I think their manager is a decent guy. I think he sets his team up well. We set up better, and we deserved, over the two legs, we deserved the victory in both games. So
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we still got 2 weeks before the final and start to make predictions about what's going to happen and in the final and how things are going to play out. But I think it's a good time for us to look at. I know you've mentioned the fact that Man U obviously qualified as well, but it's a good time for us to mention the fact that you've had that Arsene Wenger interview where he mentioned something about those who qualify for Europa or win the Europa Cup should not be in Champions League automatically and all that sort of thing, and obviously blow back from that in terms of when Ange said the effect that anything that concerns Tottenham just winds people off, and they come up with all sorts of reasons and excuses why it shouldn't happen. I mean, we've had teams like Sevilla won the Europa Cup 3 times, if not more. I mean, and a lot of the time they haven't won from the position of what's the word, being like top of the league in their league. You know, so, I mean, I think the last win they had was 12th in the league, and yeah. So, what do you have to say to that?
Well, I actually think that Arsene Wenger has a very valid point, but he had a valid point when they changed the rules, not now. That point was valid, and he should have spoken up all those years ago when they converted the UEFA League and the Cup Winners' Cup into the Europa League. He should have even voiced his opinions when they created the Conference League as well. He didn't say anything in those years. He didn't complain to UEFA. He didn't point out that, oh, well, creating this, he didn't say it is, and I have huge respect for Arsene Wenger. I think the only reason I don't like Wenger is he managed Arsenal and he was a winner at Arsenal. But outside of that, I knew who he was at Monaco. I watched him when he was coach in Japan. I loved the guy till he became Arsenal, and then I don't love him anymore. But he's still one of the most forward thinkers in football. I just think it's a comment that he may have made it innocently, but because of the fact that he has Arsenal tinted glasses on, no one is going to think that it wasn't a jab at Spurs. Yes, it's true. Spurs and Manchester United happen to be in the bottom half of the Premier League table. But they qualified for this tournament fair and square. They entered the tournament and beat every team on their way there. The reward at the end of this Europa League is the winner gets to be in the Champions League.
Absolutely.
It's if it was that we were breaking any rules, I would understand. If you think it's embarrassing, that the embarrassment is only felt by you. It's not felt by Spurs fans that we qualify. We want to win a trophy, and the reward at the end of the trophy, beyond the trophy, is qualification for the Champions League, which comes in very handy for clubs now. As you've said, the windfall for Arsenal making it to the semi-final was about £90 million. Spurs doing the equivalent in the Europa League only nets us about £20 to £25 million. That is at least a £65 million, £70 million difference. That can set teams apart in the transfer window, transfer market, the wage cap, wages earned, whatever money used as revenue for your club, all that. So he has to understand what he's saying. That if the implication of what he's saying is that he wants them to change the rule from next season, what will happen when his own beloved clubs happen to fall in there? Monaco, Arsenal, whomever, get into that same situation. And they'll look at him and say, you are the reason why. So, you know, Wenger is Wenger. It's his opinion. Some people share it, others don't, especially fans of the two clubs involved in the final. We made it to a final. Rather than being congratulated for beating the teams along the way that we have, we're being once again ridiculed as Spurs fans and then Manchester United fans as well for making it to a final and have a shot at the trophy. This is the same have a shot at the trophy that people have abused Spurs about for years and decades. Here we go. We're finally there, and they say, well, you don't deserve it because the league, you're rubbish. Before they said you're good in the league, but you don't win cups. So, you can never have it your way as a Spurs fan, and we just welcome it. It's water off a duck's back. Yeah.
What do you reckon? We're in the final. We've got Man U. We have a good record against them in the recent years. The past they used to just essentially wallop us. At every opportunity. But that is no longer the case. Years that we're in now. So I'm I don't want to sort of go down the route of predicting at this point. So probably have one more episode before we do that, But hey, what are your thoughts? Road to Bilbao, here it come.
Yeah, I think Amorim has been under the same kind of pressure, but just slightly less than Ange Postecoglou, mainly because he's new and he joined them afterwards. Well, his record hasn't been good. His system hasn't really translated as well, though he has tweaked his system. And I think you're seeing the fruits of him tweaking his system, especially in Europe, where it's one-off games as opposed to league action. So he's done some tweaking. It looks really good, especially when certain players are playing. You know, uh, you have the emergence of Mason Mount, who for a good year plus has just been irrelevant since he moved from Chelsea. That was the first time we saw Chelsea's Mason Mount in for
Okay.
United in that game. He actually did all the things he's capable of. You know, Bruno is Bruno. They have danger men everywhere. But there's something about the fact that we didn't beat them just because we beat them because we had better plans. We executed very, very well. And something tells me that in this final, we're going to see the Spurs that were playing what they played before. They're going to go, you know, if we're going to do anything, let's go out playing let's be who we are. Let's embrace our identity and let's go for it. And let's see where the cards fall. So I think it's going to be an all-out attacking Spurs in that final. And I don't know what Manchester United, how they're going to set up or what they're going to do, but it will be very interesting. And, my hope as always is, I can only think of a Spurs win. I can only think of Ange fulfilling his self-made prophecy of I always win in my second season. I always win. He stated facts. So he's made it to a final in his second season, which he did in previous times. So let's see what happens next. I just believe in the power of positive confession, and he's confessing positively from his mouth to God's ears. And
Amen.
let God be a Spurs fan on the final.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And yeah, guys, we'd love to hear from you. Your opinion. I know guys will say we haven't talked about the game against Crystal Palace. Trust me, I don't know why.
We could care less. We could care less.
I don't care today. Sorry.
But we can do a score prediction. So we're playing Palace 2:15 Sunday.
Yeah, we're playing at home, guys.
I
So
say
we'll just win 2-0. Just for the boys.
I actually think a 2-2 draw. I think both teams have nothing to play for really at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I think if you play certain kids, there are rumors that players like Ajayi and the rest might come on. Those boys, I think some of them are wanting to make history themselves. So you never know.
Because they helped us to get to the final as well,
I see Spurs.
Mikey Moore, Ajayi, and
yes, and Dean Scarlett, So if those boys get a chance, I think Mikey Moore really wants to prove a point. Like, he's seen all these other 17-year-olds getting all the headlines, the Lamars and the rest.
Yep.
He's one as well, So let's see what happens next.
Indeed. So we'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. In the meantime, come on, Ye Spurs.